Welcome to the Soul Happy Success series. It's your coach and your host, Rebecca. What is up? Today, we're talking all about hustle culture and how to get out of that because it's not particularly healthy, in my personal opinion. So, if that sounds like something you want to hear about, then hit like and subscribe so that you don't miss when I make these. I'm so grateful for every subscriber so far. And let's dive in. I feel like hustle culture really has this wake up early, don't sleep, sacrifice your evenings and weekends, like work over partying, really harsh mentality. And it's always polarized on the gram, you're on the scroll with self-care and have a bath. And then you're like screaming at the algorithm. You're like, what are you trying to tell me? No one understands you, algorithm. No one understands. So I think that what hustle culture has a real gift at doing is making you feel really guilty that you're not doing more, even if you're doing the most that you can possibly do. So my journey started in network marketing while I was working two jobs and desperately trying to be some kind of influencer. It wasn't really a thing at that time. And traveling a whole bunch. And, I didn't have a partner to support me all the way through the whole process, and I didn't have people in my life that always believed in me, and I didn't have the knowledge at the start. That's for sure. That is something that you learn. And to combat that, I was drawn in and completely consumed by hustle. Like, if I could just show you how hard I work, then maybe you'd start to believe me, and maybe I'd start to believe me too. If I could show you how many clients and how much money, and if I could shrink down a dress size, then surely then I'd be enough and you'd see it. And then I could be this, shining light of hustle culture. But all I actually felt was crushing guilt anytime I took a break, shame for working so hard and missing out on things with my family. When it looked so easy for other people to do this, I found it just so debilitating. And I had so much fear of failing at a goal that I had set myself that sometimes I called my shot online and sometimes I didn't. And I just had all this fear of like, I'm not going to be able to do this. And if I do this, I'm going to die doing this because it's so hard. And I know that sounds very over dramatic, but that's how it felt at the time. When you're working on no sleep, you've got two jobs, your own business, you're trying to hit the gym a million times, like you're not eating properly because you're not gifting yourself that time. At the time I was prioritizing really poorly. Then at that time it was so hard because I thought that maybe I just could do it. Like, maybe it wasn't for me, maybe it was me that was wrong, and all I wanted at the beginning was to be able to work from another country, which is, I'm grateful I can do now, and be in a better relationship with myself and have a business. Those are the three things that I wanted. And I questioned all the time if I was, too old or too young, whether I was the right fit, and if maybe my head was just too stuck in the clouds and I believed something that really wasn't possible for me. And all of these hustle culture quotes were like around my life, like telling me that if I just worked hard, I would get the things I wanted. But I was working really hard and I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. And I appreciate that we live in an instant gratification society. So we can be trying something for 3 months and not make any headway and think we failed, when actually it's like the long game. But in that time, it was so hard, and everyone around me was in this hustle culture vibe, and everyone was like, do more and try harder and go to more events. And I was just like, I cannot do these things. So every time I saw another post telling me to wake up earlier, drink more coffee, tick more boxes, then I felt so much resentment. I wanted to quit. And I don't think I've ever admitted that before, but I really got to points where I was like, oh, maybe it's just not for me. Like, I'd seen so many people start businesses and quit at the point where you realize that you have to put in a lot of work and it can be a real thankless task. But these posts, what I realize now, are not true of all entrepreneurs. And so many entrepreneurs, even the ones that are telling you that they're so important and that they absolutely believe in the hustle life, like, I'm not saying don't hustle. I'm saying hustle your little heart out, but it doesn't have to be, get up early versus getting no sleep, sacrificing evenings and weekends. Don't party, always work. All you have to do is learn to rest, because all of these entrepreneurs, like even Gary Vee, takes precious time for his family. Like even the most hustly culture of the hustle culture, in my personal opinion, the podcasts and the coaches that fill my ears now are all preaching the importance of taking a break for longevity in your business. And I don't think this is just a business concept. I think that this is a concept for all of us to share, is that if you want to live a long and happy life, then you have to be able to take care of yourself. How are you going to have a long, happy, growing, beautiful life if you are like high on coffee and stressed out and not sleeping? Like, that's just physically, you can't do that. So you do get this opportunity to learn to rest. And I know that it seems so overrated, but honestly, there's nothing better than rest for your soul and for your brain and for your business and for everything else. Like, you can think so much more clearly, you can handle all the things. It's not firefighting anymore where you feel like you're on all the time. You're actually getting that space to decompress, which can be really challenging when you're stressed, which is why the tools I'm going to share with you in a second are so beneficial. So some ways to learn to rest are, one is take a day off a week. And I think the entrepreneurs are the worst people for this, because we like trade in a 40-hour work week for a 100-hour work week, and we're working all the time just to make ends meet at the beginning. And that's real challenging, because you're like, oh, well, my time is free, but actually it isn't. And if you're not taking that time off, I'm very fortunate, I'm fully self-employed now. We take a Saturday off. I barely check my social media. And if I do, it's only to check on my clients very briefly, and I'll look once a day. Like, it's not anything like any other day, because you need time off, and people honor time off. No one contacts me on a Saturday because they know I'm not at my phone. So it's setting that as a standard for your life and then living by it. And this has not only been amazing for my business and for me to be able to grow and to be able to actually do more the week after because I'm rejuvenated. Do you know how much of a difference that makes for my relationship? And myself and my partner, we're both work from home bodies. He's a creative writer, he's writing a book, it's going to be a bestseller. Just putting that in your mind, put it in your basket in the future. But our relationship is significantly better because we're not just working all the time. We thrive on business conversations like you should hear. I wish that I had a channel that was just like conversations that happen in our home. But we will talk about business, we'll talk about personal development, philosophy, stoicism. We're like really in it. But we also need time to be freaking kids. Like, I know that I'm 29, my partner's 31, but we need time to just have fun and be ourselves and be the people that we were when you first start dating. Like, if you've ever dated anyone, you'll know this. When you first start dating and you're just doing like fun, crazy things. Like, when we first started dating, we went to Edinburgh Christmas Market, went on the carousel and the Ferris wheel. And, we like dived in the ocean on the 1st of January. Like, we just did like fun things. And you lose that because life happens, right? So we got married, like people have kids, and you lose that part of yourself that was just fun loving and just did things because why not, right? Like, why not have a cocktail on a Wednesday? Why not, so we went to a water park a couple of weeks back. Why not? Like, you need that day off to enjoy and be silly and be crazy and be fun and have time with your friends or just with your partner. So give yourself that time, because it will not only benefit you, it is massively benefiting my relationship. And I can only imagine what that day will be like when we're fortunate enough to have kids that we feel called to that in our future. If you don't, that's totally cool. But if you are sitting there with kids right now, then imagine the difference that it's making for them too, like that actual quality family time where you're not glued to your phone or having to do 100 things. Like, it's such a gift to teach them that they need rest too. So this is just a winner across the board. Take a freaking day off and don't argue about it. Like, I'm sending you so much love, but I remember having a coaching call once and the woman could not could not take a day off, and my whole heart hurt for her, because I was like, what about taking half a day off? She said no. I was like, what about taking an hour off? She was like, oh, maybe you could, but, and I was like, don't argue, just do it. Like, not in a harsh way, but like in a, I love you enough to tell you that you need a freaking break, and that it will make all the difference. Now, it's not just one break that will do this. Like, one break will significantly improve your life for the next week, but you need to do it consistently. So take a break. Some say take a day off, non-negotiable. Just do it. Don't argue. Don't grump about it. Figure it out. End of story. So the next thing that you can do if you are struggling with that is deliberately planning something fun where you cannot work, where you cannot have your phone. So whether it is, a weekend away, a digital detox retreat. I used to work on yoga retreats, and it was digital detox in the main area. Or maybe it's a gym class or a pottery class, or I don't know, go diving with sharks, like something where you just can't have your phone unless it's for like fantastic pictures for your gram. I understand. But anything else, it's not there to be worked on. You're consumed by doing something. And there are so many studies about the idea of deep play. There's a book called Rest. Cannot remember who it's by. I will put it in the show notes. And it talks about this concept of deep play. And I know that I had a coach in the past, and we were talking all about creative energy. And I was like, I really need to unleash this creative energy so that my social media is better. That was my goal. And she was like, you need to take up something creative like knitting. So I did. And honestly, knitting every day for, I did it for about 2 months, was an absolute gift. It was so brilliant. And I'm not particularly wonderful at it, but it gave my brain that time to rest and to think and have beautiful ideas. And so much came out of that time. So deliberately plan something that will take all of your attention. And I'm not talking like Netflix. I'm not talking like watch training. I'm talking go out and do something fun. And this doesn't have to be, if you're like, oh, but that costs money, if that's one of your excuses, go out for a walk and don't take your phone. It's very simple. Like, every excuse that you're coming up against right now, battle it in your own mind, because so many excuses will come up. You can't, you're a mum, you're busy, you've got work, you've got this, you've got that. Figure it out. Like, I love you enough to tell you that you can figure it out and you can take some time off. So the other thing that you can try is napping and meditation. Now, I know some people are like, I'm not a napper and I can't meditate. However, meditation is practice, and I believe that napping is too. Like, I went for a nap today. We lay down for half an hour, and I think I maybe slept 10 minutes of that. Like, my brain was buzzy and busy, but just that time to be like, I'm not doing anything right now. Not doing anything is such a gift for your brain, because hustle culture is training us to be doing all the time. And what that does is it creates anxiety. It creates guilt and shame for not doing enough, even when you're doing as much as you possibly can. So you need to take this moment to take your time back. Even if your meditation is 3 minutes, even if it's 3 minutes, try it, right? And build on it as a practice. It doesn't have to be every day. Like, I'm not saying like Hugh Jackman in your life and sit down for 30 minutes twice a day every single day. Apparently he does that. Or, live like a monk. I'm just saying that those moments for your brain are so useful, and they're a big fuck you to hustle culture. And it's something that absolutely has to be talked about, because the level of stress that it creates, especially in entrepreneurs, is just insane. Like, there are so many friends, like one of my friends got shingles because she was so stressed, and like physical manifestations are happening. People are fainting that I know, that are just out of stress. Like, I am a shaker. Like, oh my gosh, when I'm stressed, my whole body shakes. It's so uncomfortable. And I've noticed that by actually taking a huge step back from hustle culture and coffee, that I feel so much better and so much more grounded. And when things come up that are challenging, or challenges what I would used to have thought of as problems, then I'm so much better equipped to deal with it, because I'm able to just do, if you take anything away from this situation. It is 3 deep breaths. And I'm not talking like you're done. I'm talking 3 really conscious breaths where all you're doing is breathing 3 times. It can be as deep as you want, to be honest. Just focus on this area between the tip of your nose and the top of your lip. Just these like hairs in here. You want to just like, I think it's called a Cupid's bow. That area, if you focus your breath here and just 3 times, just very simple, in, out, let my shoulders come down with it. It is a training in itself. If you're stressed and overwhelmed, go to those 3 breaths as your mini break and have as many mini breaks as you need in a day to relieve the stress, to relieve the tension that is fundamentally created by hustle culture. Every time one of these posts comes up, I almost internally laugh now. And it's not because I'm laughing at the people that create them. I think the people that create these things do it with the best of intentions. And maybe it is their belief right now. What I'm saying is that after I've been in the online space for 5 years now, I believe, maybe 6. After that amount of time, you get tired. And you start to realize that there's no pretty, beautiful quote. Like if someone had a camera on all these people 24/7, I highly doubt they're hustling 24/7. But it makes you think that they are and that you're somehow less than. You're absolutely not. So I hope that was some real talk for you. And I hope you take a day off. I would love to hear in the comments, what do you think about hustle culture? I am game to be challenged and to open this conversation. And I will see you all next week. In the meantime, I'll be over here believing in you. I know you've got this, and have a wonderful week ahead.